It's rare that we see a product as misguided and out of touch as Disney's Playmation. Disney's Playmation is a toy that was released with a lot of fanfare during the holiday season of last year. It had like pre-order programs and these fancy displays with like touch panels and stuff, and yet it completely bombed. It's really only getting attention because of the dead cat bounce from all the ones that were put on heavy discount finally selling, and the fact that Disney has announced that they were canceling their 3-year program with it in order to try to look for more augmented reality. Like I said before, it's kind of unique that you can see a toy that has so many things wrong that it comes off as misguided and out of touch. It's even more rare that I could tell you all of the problems with this toy without even opening the box. I mean, I have opened the box, I've played with the contents inside, so I'll be able to talk about that, but there are a lot of warning signs on just this box. I can identify 6 major ones pretty easily. Number 1 is Marvel Avengers. Okay, Marvel Avengers. Last year wasn't really the year for Avengers. Avengers had become a bit of a tired series by the time that this came out. The timing was a bit off. They were also talking about how they were working on a Star Wars version and a Frozen version. I'm actually astonished they didn't put out the Star Wars version first to ride the hype of Force Awakens. Add to that the fact that Disney Infinity 2.0 had already been out for practically a year, and everybody who wanted a sort of Avengers interactive experience with the electronic figures had already gotten their fix through Disney Infinity. So the timing on using the Avengers is way off. They probably should have started with Star Wars or one of the other things, but starting a new product line with such a passé trend is a bit of a risky move, especially considering point number 2, a manufacturer suggested retail price of $120 US. Okay, I admit that's not printed directly on the box, but if you find this in the store or online, that price tag is going to be close at hand. This thing costs $120 brand new, and a lot of people really looked at this and balked at the price. I mean, did they really think that they wanted to invest this much money in this thing? And what exactly is this thing? An infrared shooter. You know, like laser tag. That thing that came out in 1979. Most of the action takes place in this repulsor gear. What this repulsor gear does is it is able to save missions and data for you, which you can then transmit to these little bases to allow it to interact. Now, these little bases, you can kind of sneak around them, you can shoot at them, you can dodge their attacks. You have kind of a little system where you have the thumb cannon, which gives you your light attacks, and the repulsor blast, which gives you your heavy attacks, along with turning up your hand to release a shield, and having a special weapon you can activate on the top. You use this to shoot at the little targets that are generated by this device here. You know, kind of like Light Strike did, and a lot of other toys have done, for considerably less than $120. Now, along with the arm cannon and 2 of these interactive bases, the starter set also comes with Captain America and Iron Skull. These are little smart figures that plug onto the base to sort of change their behavior. Although, I'm going to be honest, all it really seems to do is change the noises that the target makes as you shoot at it. It doesn't really add a new layer of engagement. I mean, you can unlock a special weapon by defeating them 10 times, but whoop-de-freaking-do. What I'm saying is this infrared play really isn't anything new. The Light Strike guns I reviewed a long time ago also use a similar kind of infrared play that allows them to interact with various targets. So this really isn't new at all. In fact, this is like 20-year-old technology. A lot of this portable laser tag thing has been around easily since the 90s, so that's not really a very innovative thing, this thing's core engagement gimmick, so that's really a strike against it. And the fact that it comes with all of this electronic equipment brings me to problem number 3. 12 AA batteries required. Yikes. As if $120 wasn't bad enough, the fact that this thing takes a monstrous 12 AA batteries to operate adds like another $10 to the price tag if you use even halfway decent batteries, meaning this thing really costs about $130. Now, they do sell a recharger pack for the repulsor, but this kind of gives me a good chance to talk about how this product is out of touch, because what the recharger pack does is it basically replaces this rear plate and gives you a rechargeable battery pack that can charge on a USB for $25. The problem is that rechargeable batteries that come with a charger and a set of 4 AA batteries costs like $20. That's $5 less for essentially the same thing. And the thing is, once I get tired of Playmation, I can take these rechargeable batteries and use them on an assortment of other things I have in my house that use AA batteries. I have like 2 or 3 sets of these circulating around, and another set of these batteries is only like another $8, $8 or $9. So for barely more than the cost for one of the rechargeable batteries for this thing, for the price they're asking, I could have 2 sets of these batteries, one that I'm playing with and one that I have on my wall charging. That's what I mean by out of touch, is they really couldn't figure out how to reduce that battery cost down lower than $25, or better yet, include it from the start for a $130 project. A big problem with this thing is that it's also really uncomfortable. It's tightened with this little grip here, but there's no grippy surface on the inside here to keep it from moving around. The problem is, in order to activate the repulsor blast, it yanks out this cable here, but what that does is it yanks it forward on my arm and feels really uncomfortable. It actually kind of jabs into my wrist bones, and it's really, really an uncomfortable thing to wear. And in fact, I feel it cutting off my circulation right now. Jeez. Problem number 3. No console required. Okay, first of all, that's a lie, which is something I'm going to get into later, but here's the thing. Like I said, this thing costs $130 if you include batteries. More if you include the optional parts like the additional action figures and things like the Ultron bot or the recharger pack or anything like that. You know what I could buy for $130? I could buy a brand new 2DS, which comes with a pack-in game, and still have enough left over to buy another brand new game. Or I could buy literally any previous generation console and a bunch of used games. What I'm saying is, when your product costs more than a console, saying no console required is not a selling point. You already cost twice as much as Disney Infinity. You are not going to gain any ground by saying a console isn't required. And that goes into problem number 5. It's an app toy. The problem with it being an app toy that connects to a smart device is, like I said in my Toys to Life video, when it comes to app toys, if they have to connect to like a smartphone or a tablet, then they're not a console-free product. They still need that device to link up to. Now, what exactly does this app do when you hook it up? Well, now the repulsor comes with a few packed-in missions. You have things like join Iron Man in a nightclub, or help Hulk find sandwiches. Oh boy, what's next? Are we gonna help Spider-Man do his taxes? Now, they say that by plugging in a villain character, you unlock their location for play, and that's true, but the problem is the repulsor itself has nothing else loaded into it. So even when you unlock the area, they give you nothing to do there. Oh yeah, Ultron's secret asteroid lair, no missions available. What the app does is it allows you to not only check your progress in this game, see how many times you've defeated certain characters to see how close you've gotten to unlocking their abilities. It is also where you have to download all of the missions, and this thing can store maybe 4 missions, and you have to unlock them by getting the bases first, and I still think it's kind of stupid that I can't play with the toy I paid for right away without registering it in an app. But the thing about the app and the update is, because it's done through a Bluetooth sync, it is really slow to update this thing. I'm not even kidding. I went and hatched a shiny Fennekin in the time it took to update this thing. That's why its name is Iron Skull! But it's really a hassle to sync this thing up, update it, and install new missions. I mean, it doesn't use any cables, so I can imagine the sort of havoc it's doing on the battery life of this thing. Tied to that, the fact that it is actually a really unstable connection, so trying to use another app, or even your screen dimming, will cause the update to fail and pause, and that means it ties up your device for the duration of the installation, and that, like I said, can be hours. So it's really not a very good device for a portable game either. And this whole thing about downloading special missions to work with interactive bases, that also is nothing new. This is something called a Mechatar. What they did is, for 1/3 the price of the Playmation, what they did was they actually hooked up to a browser game using a cable that plugged into your computer. And as long as this thing is plugged into your computer, it was actually taking power from the USB, meaning it's not devouring the battery while you're hooked up to the browser game. And what you did with this Mechatar is it could explore around your house by using the remote control to clear special missions and stuff. So the downloadable missions of Playmation are not unique in the slightest either. And funny thing, you want to know what else Mechatars can do? Infrared shooting. And they try to portray it as like this engaging thing, where the tutorial videos don't really go under the hood to help you identify the technical aspects of things. Instead, they try to present it as this immersive experience, and all you have to do is the first time you take a shot at one of these villains and they wobble around on the plate, you realize this thing isn't immersive at all. It's not. It's not immersive. It's nothing new. People have seen these sorts of toys for far, far, far less without an app that demands, problem number 6, in-app purchases. Are they serious? Are they seriously not satisfied with a $120 initial purchase and all of these like $15, $20 out-of-app purchases? They really felt the need to throw in the ultimate poison, the ultimate killer of brands, in-app purchases. This really boggles my mind, is that they included in-app purchases to something that was already this expensive. And in-app purchases, like I said before, are industry poison. So it's really, really problematic. Because if I want an experience like this that doesn't charge me an arm and a leg, I'll just go and get the repulsor from the action figure aisle that costs only like $20. Honestly, I think the only reason any of these Playmation sets have sold are because now they cost as much as these repulsors in the action figure aisle. This thing dropped down to like 20 bucks. I was astounded it dropped that low. That was actually about the price I was willing to buy it, and now I have. But the biggest problem with Playmation, along with its price and everything else, is that it doesn't have an innovative bone in its body. It is an infrared shooter, something that has been around since the 70s. Like I said before, lots of toys have come out using this gimmick, and they do it for cheaper. The mission-based gameplay, another thing that's not new. Like I said, with the Mechatars, another brand that, despite being 1/3 the price and only having a couple of additional add-ons, still failed tremendously. And even the fact that it has the Avengers or the Disney logo onto it really isn't enough to save it. And it really is an example of the sort of crisis that the toy industry is in. Like I said, when I went to a conference at Toy Fair 2013 and everybody was boasting about how the parents were going to invest in these brand new $100 toys, that was the year of the Rainbow Loom. A toy that, like, on a rainy day costs $15 to $20 and has unlimited customization. And that's if you don't buy the smaller kit that just has, like, the connection tool, or if you don't just weave them by hand. It really goes to show that there has to be a level of pragmatism to a toy you create. I imagine there were many cheaper ways to develop this product. I imagine the Bluetooth, which was probably one of the most expensive elements of this, or the force feedback as well, those probably could have been cut. The Bluetooth could have been done as a cable, like I said, with the Mechatars, which do it as a cable and actually do it fairly well, even though there was a bug you could exploit to get to maximum level in no time at all. But it's not a new concept, it's not an engaging concept, and it is absolutely no match for their own product, Disney Infinity, and they even shut that down. I wouldn't be surprised if this thing's failure was one of the reasons they shut this down. And that's Playmation. It's kind of a perfect storm of awful. It doesn't have a single innovative bone in its body. It had the wrong IP at the wrong time. It cost way too much. And those displays they had in stores with the touchscreens on them turned out to be just really loud, annoying, customer repellent. So if you want a case study of how you should probably not market your product, or a sort of product that should be sent back for revision, Playmation is definitely a place to start. Until next time, this is Kohdok signing off.